Yes, go ahead. You sound up like Elvira or something.
Hello, this is the 11th Academy Awards, 1940?
1940.
And this is a biggie for us. This is a review of Gone with the Wind, which was a hellaciously long movie. We had to plan out our weekend just to get through it. That said, it was a lot more to it than I thought that there would be. So this is Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh, and who was Melanie? She's a famous person.
Yeah, she was famous. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, she was really good too. But anyway, so I think most people know it's the story of a very spoiled Southern girl who is in love with a man who isn't in love with her. Ashley. So it's Scarlett is in love with Ashley. Ashley loves Scarlett in a different way, and he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, so he does say that he loves her, but he marries Melanie, somebody else. Melanie, who's very sappy, wonderful.
Syrupy.
And there's this other character who is Clark Gable, and he is
Rhett Butler.
Rhett. And Rhett is very, very wealthy and is in love with Scarlett mostly because they're almost exactly the same. They're really, everything they do is for themselves. But she doesn't want to marry him because she wants to hold herself out for Ashley just in case that marriage doesn't work.
And this takes place in the Civil War era in the aftermath South.
Right.
Just like Jezebel.
Mm-hmm. And so the 4 hours actually does go by. Tara is lost really early in the movie, which
the
shocked
Civil
me.
War comes and goes in the first hour.
Yeah, I mean,
which I didn't expect either.
They lose Tara, and most of the movie actually ends up happening in Atlanta, Georgia, which I didn't know. And most of the time, Scarlett and Melanie are together, and Ashley's off at war, and Rhett is in and out of war because he's wheeling and dealing with the war.
But that's just the first hour of the movie. And then after that, Rhett's in and out a lot too.
Yeah. And, Scarlett tries her best to not like Melanie and not love Melanie, but and she ends up loving Melanie very much, actually. Melanie does die in the end. And
Spoiler alert.
In case you haven't seen it. But that's when she finds out that Ashley really doesn't love her, and she realized, and she, in the meantime, had married Rhett just to have the luxury of the life that Rhett could offer her. They have a child. That child ends up dying from an accident on a horse.
Another spoiler alert.
And so she and Rhett pretty much split up, I guess. And she realizes that she does love Rhett once she realizes that Ashley doesn't love her, and she realized that she was loving the idea of loving Ashley, but didn't really love Ashley. And so by then it was too late. My dear, I don't give a damn, and he left her.
No, there's 4 hours and 4 minutes. Well done.
Yeah, but there was a lot that happened. She and Melanie worked in the hospitals, and Melanie got really sick and had a baby, and she helped bring the baby into the world, and
There's carpetbaggers.
And Scarlett was a businesswoman, and she ran a mill, and she was a very, very tough businesswoman. So she ran a very successful mill. And then there was all of this relationship with Rhett and their daughter, who he took to Europe, and there was a whole scene, a whole bunch of stuff happening in Europe, and so all this stuff that you never hear about. The movie really has this vein of serious, prejudice. It's the whole slave era, and they really make the black people in the movie like they love their owners.
Yeah, the scene
They want to fight for their owners.
that killed me. The scene where
Yeah.
they're marching off with the shovels and they're so proud and happy, the African Americans, because they have this chance to dig trenches for the Confederates and they're going to whoop the Yankees. And I'm pretty sure it didn't go down that way.
No.
If you want to see a good Civil War movie, watch 12 Years a Slave for realism. But it wasn't as awful as we thought it was going to be.
Well,
It wasn't good, but it wasn't
I
awful.
expected the absolute worst, but then again, I guess I expected, complete abuses, and it was abusive in that, they were working for Scarlett and the family, but I guess I expected 12 Years a Slave, and I didn't get that.
I was expecting just the opposite of 12 Years a Slave. I was expecting them to completely glamorize the Old South, and they did it first, and to go ahead and show that the South and the masters and the owners were very good to the slaves, and it was a happy
Well, they
relationship.
did show that.
They did show that, but they didn't show it to the extent I thought they were going to show it.
It wasn't a big part of the movie.
Mm-mm.
It really wasn't. It was actually a very small part of the movie. The movie really centered around Scarlett's being very spoiled. Yet she,
It was very strong, really, in the end.
very strong, and she did what she needed to do, because once Tara was destroyed, she's the one that worked in the field. She's the one that rebuilt the plantation by, planting, the land and trying to make money from the land. Because her father, there's a whole component of her dad getting sick and dying, and her taking care
There
of
wasn't
him.
lots of the movie.
So, I only saw it as, before I saw the movie, I only saw it as being, this spoiled brat and people abusing the African American community, the slave labor. So there is a lot more to it. I guess 4 hours, there's a lot to 4
And
hours.
for 1939, it was remarkable. It's one of the first color films. I don't think it's the first color film, but
Yeah.
it was like for the time, beautiful, beautiful color.
Yeah, they did well with the color.
Lots of sunsets.
Yeah, they did well with the color. Vivian Lee did a great job being Scarlett. Great job being Scarlett. Melanie was so sappy. She was really good at that.
Yeah, and Clark Gable, he was a great Rhett
He
Butler.
was great. Ashley was forgettable. I don't know.
His character was forgettable. I mean, the
Yeah,
actor, the
he was
character,
good at
everything.
being forgettable,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think that's what they were looking for, actually.
Right, yeah. So we were actually, I was not disgusted, because I was really not looking forward to seeing that movie. I was not disgusted by, the whole love story, the romantic love story, because in the end, she didn't get what she wanted, and I was kind of happy about it. So Rhett left, and he was a good guy. I mean, he was a wheeler and a dealer, but he was a good guy.
Yeah, he loved Scarlett.
He loved Scarlett, he loved his daughter, he was friendly, and he was nice, and, so I actually
He just
liked
got
him.
really fed up with Scarlett. Scarlett
Yeah.
was easy to get fed up with, but they had such classic lines. In addition to, the "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn" line, which was scandalous because in the post-code era or the code era, nobody said bad words in movies.
Oh,
And this was huge for him
Yeah,
to
it
say,
was
"Frankly,
huge.
my dear, I don't give a
And
damn."
there's something about eating that she
Eating.
said. Something about never going hungry again.
Oh yeah, with God as my witness, I will never go hungry again. Oh, that's a classic line.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
because they were living on potatoes. I mean, it was a famine. They were definitely, during the Civil War, they had no food. And I guess that was after terror was destroyed.
Yeah, and after the Civil War, there wasn't a lot of food in
Yeah,
the South. It was
yeah.
in the rebuilding phase.
Yeah.
I think probably the interesting thing to me, the Civil War was the context, and but I think they could have done this story at any place at any time, and it still would have been a good story. I mean, it wasn't a
The
Civil
romance
War
itself.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very common theme that you
Right.
see over and over again in succeeding movies.
It was interesting because Melanie always saw the good in Scarlett. And that was interesting. And when Melanie died, Scarlett was devastated. I mean, it was clear that Scarlett loved Melanie through it all.
Mhm.
Even though she claimed she didn't, she loved her to death. No pun intended. Anyway, so this swept. The reason we had to see this is because it swept,
Everything.
The Academy Awards, and this was the year that Wizard of Oz came out, right?
Mhm.
But so we chose this one just because it was, completely
Best Picture,
took
Best
over
Actress,
everything.
Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
Best Director. Well, I don't know, but I think Best Director.
And the color and the costumes were fantastic.
It was a huge production. I mean, the classic scene where they go ahead and they're zooming out with all the wounded laying on the ground in Atlanta. Which
they did a good job. That was a big
it
production.
was a huge production.
Yeah.
The Burning of Atlanta was a huge production.
So it's actually worth watching if you actually haven't watched it before, but realize that you're going to have to take it in smaller chunks because it is a long movie.
That is an official intermission for the people who
It
saw it.
does have an official intermission, 20 minutes of just music and one single scene. It was really cool.
And when you rent it from Amazon, you get the full 20 minutes of intermission, which we watched it. I mean, we paid for it on Amazon.
Well, we didn't watch it like nothingness. We got up and we went to the bathroom
No,
and did other things.
fast forward.
Anyway, so just not so fun of a fact, but Vivian Leigh died very, very young. She died of tuberculosis, which really surprised me. So it must have been pretty soon after Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, she would have been 53. She looks like she's in late 20s in this movie, early 30s.
Yeah.
She's very, very young.
Right. And the character of Melanie, I don't know what else she played in, but we'll probably find out going forward. The next movie that we're watching is called The Philadelphia Story. It's a romantic comedy, and I think those are always fun. I like a little bit of humor in my movies. So this one's
Especially
more
after
like
Rock
modern 40s. And so we're looking forward to reviewing that. But this one is the first big name movie I think that we've done, other than The Awful Truth.
It's the one you grow up hearing about. It's like the classic movie from the era.
Yeah.
So.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Until then, see you next week.